Welcome to the Raising Killin podcast. My name is Marsh Naidu and I blog at raisingkillin.org, where we curate resources for families experiencing disabilities. On today's episode 132, we chat with Nathan Fields as well as Jason Van Wulven from Plant for a Change, a for-profit company with a huge heart based here in Nashville, Tennessee. As a reminder, the content provided on this podcast is for your information only, and if you seek advice for your specific situation, to contact a trained professional. This episode is brought to you by Teddy Therapy Services, your online physical therapy provider. So grab that cup of coffee, put your feet up, and get ready for some awesome conversation. Today I am joined by Nathan Fields and Jason Van Wulven, and we are going to be talking about a really exciting business that started in Nashville. And the focus here is on creating an inclusive and accessible conservation workforce. Welcome, Nathan. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you so much, Marsh. It's good to be here.
Yes.
Guys, before we talk about Plan for a Change, let's just let the listeners know a little bit about you all first.
All right. So I'll first start by giving a brief introduction of Plant for a Change. Before Plant for a Change started, I was a student at Vanderbilt. Jason, where were you?
I was at the Vanderbilt as well.
And what program were you part of?
Next Steps.
Right. And so there were a few colleagues and I who were from Next Steps, Diamond, Charles, Jack, and Daniel. And we were part of a accessible, inclusive Bible study community. And we were doing, book club each week. Jason would come sometimes. Jason and I also would do a lot of community events with Best Buddies, right?
Yes, I did.
Can you remember any of them?
I like going to Nashville Predators games.
So we'd get tickets to Preds games because Best Buddies was always trying to get in community engagement, was a big priority of theirs. And so through those sorts of experiences, Jason and I developed a relationship. And those colleagues and I that were also part of Next Steps, when COVID hit, a lot of people with disabilities started losing their jobs. Oh. And there was a lot of anxiety among a lot of people with intellectual disabilities concerning what was the job forecast looking like. And one day, one of our teammates that eventually became a co-manager, she started as a co-manager, she said, what if instead of looking for the right manager or waiting for the right manager, what if we became the right manager? So we started up a business, and at that time, farmers were considered, and they still are considered, they've always been, an essential workers. And so we were able to sell plugs of plants at the Nashville Farmers Market. And our focus is on native wildflowers and native grasses, native bushes, and native trees. We really want to promote the use of these resources. And so that's how we started Plant for a Change in 2020.
Your beautiful wife as well, Anna, is also kind of involved in an inclusive business, and we'll be talking with her later on in the year about Bubble Love. But tell us about just about your experiences with the disability community.
I think my first engagement with disabilities happened when I was a boy, probably 10 years old. And my mom was providing just respite care every so often. It wasn't like a weekly thing or a monthly thing, but there was a friend who had a child with cerebral palsy, and her name was Kathleen. And Kathleen would come to our house sometimes, and my mom would watch her while the mother would go do some errands. And so I think that was my first. I've never told Jason this. So Jason, this is the first time he's heard about it. That was my first contact, right? But then I think when I was in high school, I went to a private school from K through ninth grade. I'm telling you, this is one of the things that is a lament of mine. But there weren't people who had Down syndrome. There weren't people who were deaf or hard of hearing or even had visual challenges because that private school setting did not provide them the accommodations or supports or teachers that those students might need. So they were primarily served in that public school setting when I was growing up in the 90s. But when I was in high school, I went to a public school in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, and my 10th, 11th, and 12th grade years, I was able to see and be in proximity with people who had differences. And I played football with an individual who also had intellectual disabilities. And this student, Brian, he just being on the football team, I never heard um, I never heard people mock him. I never heard people make fun of him. And Brian and I were often, on the sidelines together, chatting or talking. And he was the most supportive, encouraging fellow. And then my senior year, I was in a classroom. This is, also a lament, but it was in a segregated setting, right? So it was a classroom of all students with disabilities, but they had peers that came from, who I took a class, and it was essentially to be a peer mentor, peer tutor. So I was in that setting for my senior year. College came, my 5 years at John Brown University in Northwest Arkansas. There were two individuals I remember. One had an intellectual disability, and they were there for about a semester. Another was a wheelchair user, and she was able to graduate in the program. But she was in the gen ed setting, right? And it wasn't, I think there might have been a muscular degenerative condition that this friend had. But I wasn't in proximity. I did move to China, and my wife was working in an educational setting, and her and I had some time where we were able to be more in proximity to people who had, just differences. We moved back in 2016 to 2015. In 2016, we moved to Nashville.
Before I met you.
Before I met you, but this is where I met you because I went to Vanderbilt, went to master's program. Vanderbilt has either the number one or number two that goes back and forth between University of Kansas and Vanderbilt, but one of the top special education programs in the nation. So I got a scholarship to attend there. And when I was there, it was self-advocates like Jason that caught my attention because I saw them not in institutional life. I saw them active, vibrant contributors into the life of the Vanderbilt community. He made Vanderbilt a better place being there. Jason did.
I did.
And he was there tell him about your program.
Yes. I started the Vanderbilt and Next Steps. I did things with different things I like to do, like cooking or food or I like doing things with Nate and having plans for change.
Yep. And so, but you were there from 2016
Yes.
to 2018, or was it 2015 to
2017?
Okay, so he was in the 2-year program before it became a 4-year program.
Yes.
Nate, so how do your guys work together? What does Plans for Change look like? Give me an idea of like the daily going ons.
Love that. I want to tell you, but I kind of want to hear Jason's take on it. Jason's only been here with Plan for a Change for 3 weeks. So he was brought on, filled out an application.
Yes.
And he's, we're still in a kind of a trial period, trying to figure out what is he like, what does he do. And so, Jason, go ahead and tell what you've done.
I like be doing with Nathan. I've been helping him out with doing the seeds into the seeds in the machine.
Yes. So we have a machine, and this machine we set the dial of how much weight, how many grams to put in.
Yep.
And he puts this inner envelope up to the
Yes.
machine.
I
The
did.
machine takes it out, and then we have some reattachable glue.
Right.
This is a plastic-free product, so we don't want it to contribute to environmental degradation. We have soy-based inks and recycled, reused material, and he glues it,
Yes, I do.
puts it aside. That's one of his opportunities. What do you do with the chickens?
For me, yeah, we have doing things with the chickens. Getting the eggs out because they like to eat eggs
Yes,
fresh.
yes. So we have fresh eggs here, and we do have a farm. It's we registered it with the IRS. It's a FSA farm. It's registered with USDA. It's in downtown Nashville, 3 blocks from the farmers market. And we've been harvesting a lot of seeds.
We have.
So we'll find property that we have permission to harvest native wildflower seeds. And, we'll take the seeds and we collect the seeds, and then we take it from the sticks and
Yes.
we clean the seeds. So we produce a pure live seed element. We want to get the chaff out, and so that's another part of our responsibilities with Plant for a Change.
Yes.
We haven't done the planting yet. It's a great time for seed starting for native plants. So have we laid down any seed yet? I can't remember.
No, we haven't.
Yeah, but we'll eventually start to plant these native wildflowers in other parts of the farm and on other properties that we've been asked to lay seed at.
Yes.
So, Jason, you
Yes, ma'am.
you are doing the packaging, right? And then
Yes, ma'am.
what happens with the packaging after that's done?
Yes, good question.
Okay. I fill them up put the seeds in there. I put them in there when they mentioned about the glue stick.
Yeah, we put them in the outer envelope.
Yes.
And then
we glue them in.
And then we take them to be sold to stores. We have 12 stores that we sell our products at, our seeds. And along with that, sometimes we'll get orders online.
Yes.
And we would remember what we do with the label.
Yes.
What do we have to do with it?
We have to put a note to it.
Yeah, we write notes on every package we get saying thank you for your business. We sign our names, put it in the mail, and send it off.
Yes, we do.
That's amazing, guys. So, Plan for a Change, you're starting off now with the seed business, but
Yep.
there were some awesome pictures that you had sent me as well. Nathan, tell me about that.
Right. Okay, so in the past, Plant for a Change has also had mulch that we make available. That is our second product that we will hopefully be, developing as burlap bags that have our Plant for a Change logo on them. Everything is going to be plastic free. That's our intent for all of our products to be environmentally safe. And right now, these are the 5 species that we have. We have 5 different seeds that we make available. We used to have plugs available. That's how we started out. When I say plugs, those are live plants that are in a container. And that was really what got us launched at the farmers market. During the economic shutdown, right, we made $3,100 in sales. We sold some birdhouses, but we also sold live plants at the farmers market on like Saturdays. We have kind of, the reason we wanted to focus on seeds is because they're so packet friendly. You can package them. With plants, there's a lot more maintenance and a lot more upfront costs.
How about China seeds?
Yeah, we'll pop. Well, now that we've brought it up, I'll go ahead and mention it. a lot of seed companies get seed from China or get seeds from outside the country. What we would hope to do, and this has everything to do with
Conservation.
the conservation of our local ecotypes.
Right.
And so the seeds that we harvest and the seeds that we sell are locally and regionally produced, right? And so because the insects that are with the species we are promoting, the flowers especially, we want to cultivate the relationship that has been here for a long time between those insects and those plants.
Yes.
And so Jason's of the idea of, hey, well, if there are
Yes.
people in China that are selling seeds, maybe we should do Plant for a Change in China. And
Yes.
here's a way that Jason contributes to the team.
Yes.
If I'm thinking a big picture, Jason is always thinking of the bigger picture.
Yes.
So Jason is
He's thinking
such an
global,
asset.
aren't you, Jason?
Yes,
Yes,
he's a
ma'am.
global thinker. He's
I
like,
do.
all right, conservation work shouldn't be limited to Eastern North America. But anyway,
Well, all right. So I'm here in Dyersburg. Then obviously, when you say native Keystone native plants, you talking Tennessee, right?
okay, thank you for asking that. A keystone species is a regional. They happen to be regional. Now that might be, for example, the oak tree. We'll say the white oak, right? White oak is distributed around North America, where it supports over 540 caterpillar species. That white oak. So we say that is a keystone species. We work primarily with flowers and grasses. Our keystone species that we're promoting, while they're keystone for Tennessee, they're also keystone for Eastern North America. And our top three are the top three heavy hitters that if you plant these three types of flowers, they can do incredible conservation work in your own backyard, right? So the first one I'm going to promote is the goldenrod. This type of goldenrod is the wrinkle leaf goldenrod. Our packets have the range, the native range of each species. And so, for example, this wrinkle leaf goldenrod is primarily going to be a keystone species in most of Eastern North America, with the exception of Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. But this wrinkle leaf goldenrod supports 42 native bees, 104 caterpillar species, and 96% of backyard birds rely on insects that this goldenrod feeds. So that I tried to put we want to put the data on here as conservationists and as educational as an educational piece of information. Our the second one would be asters, and this is a smooth blue aster, and it supports 33 native bees. It supports 100 caterpillar species, and also 96% of backyard birds rely on those insects. The third of the heavy hitters is that black-eyed Susan, and this supports 29 native bees in Eastern North America and 20 caterpillar species. Also, same amount, 96% of birds rely on insects that this feeds. So each also talks about the other two that we have. They're not so much keystone, but I'm going to explain why they are keystone in one sense. So this is a butterfly milkweed, which we all might have heard of, is really needed by the monarch butterfly because milkweed is a keystone species for caterpillars such as the monarch. But 10 other caterpillars also require this along with the monarch. We're talking species. And then 23 native bees also rely on butterfly milkweed for their hosting, for their feeding. And then finally, we have the bergamot. And this bergamot, 9 caterpillar species require it, and 1 specialist bee requires it. And you might think, oh, well, that's not that many. But this bergamot is essential for that one, Monarda native bee. If that native bee does not have this bergamot, then its population is going to suffer. So that's what makes it a keystone plant.
Jason, what is Nate's other job?
Oh yeah, what's my job, Jason?
I love Nate because has a good family, has a good kids, and I love her much.
Jason, our farm operation is very much like a house. It's in a house. So Jason sees me in
Yes.
my elements with the kids. And, the kids have been on a very long winter break. So he's seen me being a dad and a husband as well as a boss.
Yes. And they call me Uncle Jason.
Yep.
Oh, that's the best part. That is
Yeah.
the best part.
And Jason has been
Yeah.
part of our family for the past 8 years. Well, 7 years. So he's known my kids before they were he's known my kids before they were a year old.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
And so they're 8 now and 10. And my jobs are I network with our vendors and I work on the website and I take those orders in. I'm Jason's driver, so I drive you places. And Marsh, we've got some exciting news. We've
Okay.
not put this on Instagram or anything. We are going to Western Massachusetts. Jason earned a
Boston.
scholarship. Yep. Jason earned a scholarship to attend the CARE Farming Network. So this is the first conference of its kind. These are farms all over the United States and maybe North America. I'm not sure if Canada has any representation, but we're going to be going to Western Massachusetts and representing Tennessee, representing Plant for a Change, and learning all about what farms are doing to support, marginalized communities, but particularly those individuals with intellectual disabilities. Our passion is wanting to make sure that we are doing work alongside people with disabilities, not to and for people with disabilities, that as self-advocates and people of self-determination, people with and without disabilities are in proximity together. So two things I'm always trying to kind of clarify to our vendors or customers is we're not a nonprofit. The reason being, when COVID happened, a lot of our friends with disabilities, we realized were disproportionately served under that nonprofit umbrella. And so what we wanted to do was, let's play the for-profit game, if you will, right? So let's be with other managers, maybe those managers who aren't yet convinced that people with intellectual disabilities or other disabilities should be part of their team. Let's have people with and without disabilities on our workforce be part of that conversation and be part of policy changes that could take place. And so that's where we're at. And we want to connect with other farms that also might be thinking along those lines.
Give him my own place too, as well.
Jason really wants his own place, Marsh. That's something that we navigate often.
You know what? And I 100% agree. That is an awesome, awesome goal to have, Jason. Last question. I know you guys are excited about this upcoming conference. Between now and spring or the summer, what would you all like listeners to know? Or what would be your message for listeners?
We are looking for partners all over North America if they are interested in taking the simple action of, looking us up online. Go to plantforachange.com. They can order some seeds. But what we want our listeners to be able to do is learn, and they can, if they purchase our packs, even if they aren't in the Eastern North America region, our packs are essentially a book and a pack. And so they'll open up this 3x5 seed packet. This art, I also want to illuminate, is illustrated. We commissioned Leanne Flug, and she's amazing. She's in Boonton, New Jersey. She is a botanical illustrator, graduated from the Maryland Art Institute. She also happens to be impacted by special healthcare needs. And so, we want to continue to employ and support women business owners, minority businesses, and those partners that might have special healthcare needs or disabilities. And so we're excited that each of our art each of the packets that we have put out, the 5 species, are all illustrated by her. They also show reciprocity between an insect of that plant and the plant itself. Those are just part of our desire to educate our listeners and our readers, our customers. Every packet also has a land acknowledgement and includes ethnobotany. We're passionate about people with and without disabilities being in conservation work together. And so when they, make a purchase from Plant for a Change, they are literally mobilizing and empowering an inclusive team to go about conservation work together. While we primarily work with, right now, we're in the work of selling our seeds. We also hope to work more with state parks, national parks, and Tennessee Department of Transportation to harvest seed, to plant native wildflowers and native plants. And the reason being is there could be an incredible opportunity to tap into the 80% of people with intellectual disabilities who, at this point, around the United States, are facing unemployment. And so 20% of those 20% who are employed, 80% of them are in sheltered workshop settings. We don't want that to be the case with Plant for a Change. We really want that sort of one-on-one or two with one type of network where we have team members with and without disabilities have an equitable pay together. They're not getting sub-minimum wage. They're not getting minimum wage. They're actually being paid, according to the national average of what that type of work is. If I could just say one more thing, I really want to encourage people to see the value of inclusive post-secondary education. That was a game changer for Jason and I. It was a game changer for the formation of Plant for a Change. The concept of Plant for a Change, when I say Plant for a Change, I mean the work of empowering an inclusive and accessible conservation workforce. Because as people with and without disabilities are in proximity, we move from proximity to relationship, and from relationship, we've moved into partnership, And so I really want to encourage listeners. I know there are about 300 places around the United States that provide post-secondary opportunities for individuals with intellectual disabilities and other developmental disabilities. But I really want to just shout out to those post-secondary programs.
I do want to meet my girlfriend.
Listen here, both Jason.
Oh yeah, Jason did mention.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. Jason did mention. You want to say that one more time?
I want to meet my new girlfriend.
Yeah. So Jason, part of us moving we've always worked on relationship dynamics, right? Jason's 28, and so he's always I don't know, he's on the lookout. Yeah.
Well, listen, you guys, this has been the best conversation. Thank you so much for letting me know about Plan for a Change. And
thank you so much. I appreciate you, Marsh. You're such an exciting advocate to, join alongside. So thank you for inviting us to be part of your network.
Thank you so much for listening along on the podcast today. Remember, Nathan and Jason's website, Plant for a Change, is plantforachange.com. Be sure to grab you a pack of those Keystone seeds, which are indigenous to the southeastern region of the U.S., but as Nathan explains earlier in the podcast, can be planted in quite a number of areas here in the U.S. So that's again plantforachange.com, and we would highly covet a rate, review, and a like of this podcast. And as always, remember, guys, get to the top of your mountain. This is Marsh Naidu signing off.